Alright guys, now let's make this home header. As you can see, we have this logo, this search bar in here, and also we have this right that will navigate us to our form where we can add a new post, and also this notification icon, and also we are going to have a drop down that will navigate us to our profile page and help us sign up from this application. Now let's get started. So at first I'm going to import this icon from React Icons. Okay, as you can see, I have already imported these icons. Now I'm going to change this div to be header, and inside it I'm going to have another div. For this header I'm going to give a class name. We need to give it a border bottom, and border color is going to be gray with 200 opacity. Okay, now this div will have a class name of this size. Height is going to be 60 pixels. We need to add flex item center, and justify is going to be between. So it will add a space between this part and this part. Okay. Now inside this div, at first we need to have our logo. So I'm going to add this inside another div with a class name of flex item center, and gap is going to be 3. So this flex box will add spaces between our logo and the search bar. Now let's add our logo. It's gonna be a link from React Router DOM, and it will help us navigate to the main page. Okay, inside here we are going to have a span tag with the class name of text 5 pixel, and this is gonna be our logo, which is coming from React Icons. As you can see, we have this logo. Now for this search bar, we are going to have another component. So I just add this down here, down this link. We need to add this search component. Now let's make this component here. Okay, inside this home I'm going to have another component called search.jsx, and actually we can have another folder for this header. So to structure our folders inside this home, I'm going to move this home header and this search inside this header. Okay, we got an error inside app.jsx because we have added this home header inside another folder. So I just fix it quickly. I'm going to open this app.jsx, and here I'm going to add this header. Okay, and that's it. Now you can see our error is gone. Later on we can implement this header. In the right side we have these icons. Okay, as you can see, we have added this justify between in this div class name. So following that, we need to have another div for the right side. So I'm going to write here right side. Okay, and this one is going to be left side. We are going to have a link. Okay, we're going to have a span tag. So inside this span tag I'm going to add this icon. Okay, and following that we need to have a text. You can see we have this icon with this right text here. Now let's style this. So for this div I'm going to have a class name flex item center. Gap is going to be 3, and for small devices gap is going to be 7. Okay, you can see we still have it, and it will direct us to /right. It's gonna be a new page. We are going to add this later. Okay, for this icon I'm going to add a class name of text 3xl. For this right text I'm going to add a class name of text small. Margin top is going to be 2. Okay, for this link I'm going to add a class name here. So in mobile version it's gonna be hidden. This is because if I open this original website and inspect it, as you can see in mobile version it will be gone. And from here we will have access to this one inside this model. So if I expand this, you can see we don't have this right inside this model. For that cause, in the mobile version, I'm going to add hiding. For medium devices, it's going to be flexed, item center, gap is going to be 1, and text color is going to be gray and 500. Okay, as you can see, we have this text here. Now let's move on. Following that, we have this bell icon. So I just simply add a span tag here, and this bell icon is going to be this notification here. Okay, I'm going to add it. For this, we need to have a class name of text3xl. Text color is going to be gray and 500, and also cursor pointer. Okay, we have this, and following that, we are going to have this avatar along with this arrow down. Now let's add them. For that, I'm going to have another div here with the class name of flexed item center, and it's gonna be position relative because we are going to add a model here. Okay, now inside here I'm going to have an image. Now let's have a default profile image, which is /profile.jpg, and it's coming from public folder. Okay, I just downloaded from the Google. You can just download it as well. Now for this alt, I just write here profile image. Okay, now let's style this. I'm going to add a class name here. Width is going to be 2.3 rem. Height is going to be 2.3 rem as well. Okay, we need to add object cover, rounded full, and finally we need to add cursor pointer. Okay, now let's check it. As you can see, here is our profile. Later on we can change this profile image. Okay, following that, we are going to have an arrow down. So I just add a span tag here with the class name of text gray 500 and cursor pointer. Okay, now let's add this icon, which is this one. Okay, as you can see, here is our icon. Now let's work on this model. As you can see, we are going to have that white background color again, which we made a reusable component for that, and also this model here. So down here inside this div, make sure to add it inside this div. We are going to have that model reusable component. Okay, now let's import it. So it was inside this model. Okay, now we need to have a user hook here. So I'm going to write here, it's going to be false by default. Now if I add this to be true, as you can see, we have this white background color here. Okay, now inside this model, we are going to have another div, and inside here we are going to have a new component called user model. For our model here, I'm going to add this component here. Okay, now let's import it. Alright, as you can see, we have this user model text in here. As you can see, inside this model, we are going to have a text with this icon. So now let's import this icon from React icons. Okay, inside this user model, I'm going to import all of these icons, and we are going to store all of these navs inside an array. Now let's add it. So I just copy and paste them here. As you can see, the first one is profile, this is the icon, and this one is the path. If you notice here, I have added this current user.uid because this link will direct us to the single profile page. So now let's import this current user. I'm going to import this. Alright, as you can see, we don't have any error here. Okay, now first of all, I'm going to change this to be section, and let's add a class name for this one. Position is going to be absolute. Width is going to be 18 rem. We need to give it a padding 6, background color is going to be white, right 0, and top is going to be 100%. Okay, now you can see here is our model. Okay, and following that we are going to give it a shadow. So this shadow's class name is coming from index.css, rounded is going to be MD, and Z index is 50, text color is going to be gray and 500. Okay, now let's check it. As you can see, here is our model. If you remember, I said this right will come inside the mobile version, so at first I'm going to add that one. Now let's copy it from this home header. So I just copied this link from here and just add it here. Okay, let's import this link. Alright, as you can see, we have this right in here, and this time it's gonna be flexed in mobile version, and it's gonna be hidden inside the bigger devices. As you can see, we don't have this right, but if I inspect, you can see we are going to have this right in here. Alright, now down here we are going to have another div. Let's add a class name here, flex column. Gap is going to be 4. We need to give it a border bottom. Border color is going to be gray 300, and we need to give it a padding bottom of 5. Okay, now inside here I'm going to map to this user model.map. We are going to get each and every link and the index. Okay, and inside here we need to get the link. Path is going to be equal to link.path, and inside here we are going to have a span tag for the icon, so it's coming from link.icon, and also we are going to have a heading too for link.title. Okay, as you can see, they are here. Now for key, we are going to have this index. Let's add a class name for this span tag. Text is going to be 2XL. Alright, now we need to separate this span tag from this heading too. So for that I'm going to add a class name, flex item center. Gap is going to be 2. Text color is going to be gray and 500, but we need to have a hover effect of text black, but with the opacity of 70. Now you can see we have all the links here, but we need to have a font size for this heading too. So I'm going to add a class name here, text MD. Okay, now they are looking good. Alright, following that we are going to have this sign out button. Down this div I'm going to have a button. I'm going to add a class name here, flex column. Padding top is going to be 5, cursor pointer. Hover effect is going to be text and black with the opacity of 70. Okay, now for the text we are going to have sign out. As you can see, this is our button, and following that we need to have this email. As you can see, the first 2 characters will be later, and before this at it's gonna be hidden. For that we are going to have a helper function here. So inside this utils I'm going to add a helper function .js. Now inside here I'm going to export a new function, and it's going to be secret email. It's gonna be an arrow function, and from here we are going to receive this email. Okay, now inside this user I'm going to have a span tag, and we need to import this secret email from here and just pass this current user dot email. Okay, now inside here if I console log this email, And if I inspect the browser here, as you can see, we got this email. Now we need to split this email into two parts using this @. So in here, I'm going to write const split email, which is equal to email.split, and we are going to split this using this @. Now if I console log this one, you can see we have Amir and gmail.com. Now we need to destructure them. So I change this variable name to an array and get Amir as username and gmail.com as domain. At first we should get the first two characters of our username. For that we are going to use substring method. The rest of our username characters will be replaced with the star. To replace the rest of our username with the star, we need to use .repeat function and add the length of the username -2 as argument, because we need to replace characters as much as characters our username has. We added -2 to subtract the first two characters. Now if I console log this secret user, okay, and let's console log this email also. As you can see, we could get the first two characters and the rest has been changed with this star. Alright, now let's join the domain name with the new username. Now, as you can see, this is our new username. So the username has been changed to a new one. Okay. Now, inside this user model, I'm going to give it a class name of text small. As you can see, we have a little small text in here. Alright guys, our model is finished. Now when I click this white background color, I want this model to be closed. So for that, I'm going to open this home header, and inside this div we are going to have a class name, and it's going to be this temporary string. Now we need to set a condition here. If there is model, then we are going to set it to be visible. Opacity is going to be 100, otherwise it's going to be invisible, and opacity is going to be 0. Now let's add that transition also. Duration is going to be 500. Okay. Now if I click this white background color, you can see our model will be closed automatically. Okay, as you can see, our useState hook is true by default. I'm going to change it back to false. Okay. Now we should be able to open our model using this avatar. So in here, inside this image, I'm going to add an onClick function here. We are going to set model, and it's gonna be true. Okay. Now if I click this avatar here, as you can see, we have our model, and you can see the model will be displayed. As you can see, we have added a long duration, so I'm going to decrease this to 100. Now it's a little better. Alright guys, now let's push our code. So in here, I'm going to state all the changes here. I'm going to write here alright, now let's work on this search bar. So I'm going to open this search component in here. I'm going to close this one. As you can see, inside this search bar, we are going to have an input with this icon. So now let's import this icon. Okay. Now if I inspect this original website, as you can see, inside the mobile version, our search bar is going to be like a model, like this one. So for that, we are going to use our reusable model component as well. Now I'm going to change this div to be a fragment, and inside here, I'm going to add the model component. Now let's import it. Okay. Inside here, I'm going to have a div with the class name of absolute, For bigger devices, which start from small, it's gonna be relative. Okay, right 4, left is going to be 4, top is going to be 4 rem. Okay, now this style is for mobile version, but for bigger version, left is going to be 0. Okay, now inside here, I'm going to have another div with the class name of flex item center. Gap is going to be 1. Background color is going to be gray and 100. We need to add a padding X of 2. Rounded is going to be full and position relative. Okay, now inside here, at first we are going to add our icon. It's gonna be a span tag, and let's copy this icon from here. For this icon, I'm going to give a class name, text size 2XL, and text color is going to be gray and 400. Okay, as you can see, our icon is down here. This is because in smaller devices we have added top to 4 rem. So to bring it in the right place, we need to target the bigger devices again and set the top to be 0. Okay, now you can see our search bar is in the right place. So following this icon, we are going to have an input. Type is going to be text, and the placeholder is going to be search medium. Now let's add a class name, bg transparent. Outline is going to be none. Padding Y is going to be 0.7 rem. We need to give a text size of small, and width is going to be full. Okay, now let's check it. As you can see, here is our search bar. Okay, now let's work on mobile version of this search bar. So I'm going to inspect the browser. As you can see, our search bar is up here inside mobile version. So at first I'm going to add a user-state hook for our model. It's gonna be true by default. Now let's pass them. Alright, as you can see, we have this model here. As you can see, our search bar is down this model. So for that, we are going to have a Z index in here. It's gonna be 10. Now you can see our search bar is on top of our model. Okay, now let's close this search bar. So again, I'm going to change this to be a template string. Inside here, I'm going to set a condition. If there is model, then I would like it to be visible. Okay, now if I click it here, as you can see, our model will be closed here. Okay, now we need to have another search icon to open our search bar. So inside this home header, before this link, I'm going to have another span tag, and we're going to add this icon inside here. Okay, as you can see, we have this icon. Now let's add a class name for this. For mobile version, it's gonna be flex, but for big screen, it's gonna be hidden. Text size is gonna be 3XL. Text color is going to be gray and 300, and we need to have a cursor pointer. Okay, let's add a space between them. Now you can see here is our icon. So to open our model, we need to move the user-state hook from here to our home header. So I'm going to receive them here. Okay, Now let's move it to this home header. And here I'm going to rename this to be search model. Now let's pass them to our search component. As you can see, this is our component. So model is going to be this search model, and set model is going to be the set search model. Okay. Now that we have the use state hook, we can add an on click here. Set search model is gonna be true. Now let's change it back to be false. Alright. Now if I click this icon, you can see we have this model, and if I click this white background color, it will be disappeared. Alright. Okay guys, as you can see, we got a problem in here. So in bigger screen we cannot see the search bar. The problem is in here inside this condition. So beside this invisible, we need to set visible for bigger devices. So bigger devices which start from small, it should be visible. Okay. And also opacity should be 100, because we set the opacity to 0 in small devices. Okay. Now you can see we have this header back. Now let's push this code. I'm going to state all the changes here